So what is a reactivity series? Reactivity series is the arrangement of metals according to their reactivity. So metals are placed in order of reactivity, which can help predict their reactions. The reactivity series arrange the metals in order of their reactivity towards other substances. The reactivity of metal is determined by how easily they can lose electrons, and when they lose electrons, they form positively charged ions. The higher up the metal in the reactivity series, the easier it can lose the electrons and the more reactive there are. So the most reactive metals are the metals which are higher up in this series. The least reactive ones are the ones which are toward the end of the series. The metals react with water or acid and they lose electrons to form positively charged ions. The relative reactivity of the metals with either an acid or water is the same as their order in the reactivity series. So you're going to find that potassium is more reactive than sodium, which is more reactive than lithium, and so on. The least reactive one is platinum, which is at the bottom of the reactivity series. We can notice few things in the reactivity series. So we said that reactivity series is about placing metals in order of reactivity, but we can notice that we have carbon and hydrogen, which are non-metals, but they still exist or added to the reactivity series. The main reason for that is because they give information about how the metals will react with both carbon and hydrogen. So what's about carbon? So metals which are less reactive than carbon, which are the metals which are below the carbon in the series, like zinc, iron, tin, lead, and so on. These metals can be extracted from their ores by reduction with carbon. So because carbon is more reactive than these metals, it can displace the metals from their ores, which are the metal oxides, and then we can get the metal itself. So metals which are more reactive than carbon, the metals which are higher up in the series above the carbon, which are going to be more reactive, cannot be extracted in the same way. So what about the hydrogen? So metals which are more reactive than hydrogen, the metals which are above hydrogen in the series, can react with a dilute called acids, while metals which are less reactive than hydrogen cannot react with dilute and cold acids. So how can we memorize the order of the metals in the reactivity series? So I can teach you a trick to memorize these ones. So we know that metals are more reactive than transition metals. So the first metals in the reactivity series are going to be the metals in group 1, 2, and 3. Group 1 metals, generally speaking, are more reactive than group 2 metals, which are more reactive than group 3 metals. The main reason for that is that group 1 metals have only one electron and easy to lose this one electron. Group 2 metals have two electrons in their outer shell and they need more energy to lose these two electrons, so they become less reactive in comparison to group 1 metals. So the first three metals in the reactivity series come from group 1 metals. And we know that in group 1, as you go down the group, their activity will increase. So we're going to place the first three members of group 1 metals in opposite order or in reverse order. So the most reactive one will be potassium, then sodium, then lithium. The next two elements or next two metals in the series are group 2 elements. So you're going to find calcium and magnesium. Again, group 2 elements have the same trend of reactivity, where down the group, the reactivity will increase. So calcium will come first as being more reactive and then magnesium. The third one is aluminium, and aluminium is group 3 metal. And aluminium, all these group 1, 2, and 3 are more reactive than carbon. The elements which are less reactive than carbon, you're going to find some of them are group 4 elements like tin and lead, and some of them are transition metals like iron, copper, silver, gold, and platinum. So another thing we need to notice are the elements which are less reactive than hydrogen. These ones will include the copper, silver, gold, and platinum. So basically try to remember that these elements or these metals which are most mainly used in making jewelry. So these are the least reactive ones, less reactive than the hydrogen. Probably the middle ones, then